Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is, are you sitting down and getting ready for it? Good. Six of Stones and Exploitation again, all right? This came up 2 days ago. We talked about, exploiting resources, exploiting your own resources, being guarded, right? With that Queen of Stones and a bear, and then, as you're clearing things out, things being taken advantage of. And, when this card came up, it's up today and I've been meditating on it. It's not easy, all right? Because what this card, when it comes up twice, when any card comes up twice, it tells me that there's a double emphasis on the message. And, here it's about, overuse of resources. But what was really coming through for me today, not only is it overuse of resources, it's opening yourself up and becoming vulnerable. And none of us like to do that. Everybody likes to have some sort of control, have some sort of say in what's going on. With their life, with their career, with their finances, within, the things that you can control. Not in the things that, you want to control, more or less. Okay, but to be exploited means you're being used. And nobody likes to feel being used. Nobody likes to feel that energy being sucked out of them. Okay, how many times have you given money to people and you walk away and you just have this grimy feeling to you? It's like, doggone it, they got me again, right? And it just makes you feel like here's a talent that they have, other people, with their blinking of eyes and their smiling and their sweet talk, that takes advantage of you. Okay, every situation that's out there that presents itself, every communication, every situation is an opportunity to be exploited. All right? Having that conversation with a trusted friend and divulging, just a smidge of information, only to find out that it comes back from somebody else. And it breaks that trust. Okay? And, 9 out of 10 times, most people aren't going to say anything to that person. But yet you feel exploited, because you put out there a little bit about yourself to somebody else, trusting that they won't take advantage of it. And they do. You try to help out somebody walking down the street. And the next thing you know, the next day, you see them again. And they take advantage of your kindness. They take advantage of, they kind of target you for being that, oh, he'll always give me $1, or they'll give me $0.25. Years ago, there was a guy at work, very smart individual, ended up becoming a really good, manager. But he would go around asking people, hey, do you have $0.25? People would give him $0.25. And, he would ask 6 people, he'd get 6 quarters, $1.50. He'd go down there and buy himself a soda. He'd never pay you back because you had $0.25. He did that for months and months and months and months. Always got free drinks because people were just there. He exploited their kindness. He exploited, their self-giving nature. And once, a couple of us caught on to it and we're just like, hey, do you got $0.25? Not today. Come on, I know you got $0.25. No $0.25 today. Why won't you give me $0.25? I says, because every time I've given you $0.25, you've gone down and bought a pop. Have you ever bought me a pop? No, why should I buy you a pop? That was his answer. So, there are people out there that will use their charisma to exploit just a simple weakness of $0.25, of $1, right? There are organizations out there asking for money. You watch TV, send 50 cents in for a kid, send $5 in for a cup of coffee. And they get you. And the next thing you know, it kind of snowballs. You really have to be cautious around people, around what you say to people, around how, even just simple conversations, and watch the body language of people. Because they'll take advantage of you. And that's where the exploitation comes in. And it's just, yes, you can be protected all you want. We got the Queen of Stones and the Five of Stones bookended around this. That happened the other day. I don't know what's going to happen forward. We're going to take another look at this, but guarding yourself in your finances, guarding yourself in your creativity, guarding yourself in your heart, in your passion, guarding your emotions. Because when people can see that they've got you, whether you wear your heart on your sleeve or whether it's just I always know I can get something from this guy or that gal, they'll always come back to that source. And as a result, most people, they don't think twice about it. I remember one time out on a trip, I stopped at this restaurant and, a gentleman came up to me and said, hey, could you buy me a cup of coffee? And I knew as soon as he stepped up with me with a book where he was going. And I was like, yep, I've been marked again. And maybe I've told the story before, but, I just said, you know what? Karma is going to come back around. That's how I looked at it. And as I paid, not only did I buy him coffee, but I bought him breakfast as well. And I told the waitress, I said, just keep his coffee cup full. I gave her a little extra. And she knew this dude was doing it all the time. And it took me hours on my travel to get over that. And I hope that guy's doing well now. I hope that guy is out there and not taking advantage of other people, not exploiting other people, but using his talent to help himself. So you got to watch, as you're developing your spiritual path, the light that's emanating from you, and I've spoken about this before, other people see it. Other people see how you are moving forward. Your family, your loved ones, your coworkers, your neighbors, your community. And a light that shines brightest gets a lot of attention. Now, because you're getting the attention, that's good. Because that means you're on your spiritual path. That means you're moving forward. You are doing the work you're supposed to do in this lifetime, on this lifeline, let me rephrase that, in this timeline, of touching the people you need to touch, of having those conversations with the people you have to have those conversations with, that the universe in the spirit world has put you in touch of and with to spread your message, to spread their message, to help them out. Okay? It's great when we can keep it all to ourselves. But it's better when we can just give that smile out there. When, hey, here's a quarter, right? But at the same time, if that guy at work would have bought me a pop one day, I would have been grateful. Hey, D, here's a pop for you. And my first comment probably out of him, how many people did you scam a quarter off to give me that pop? And he'd probably say 6, because that's what type of guy he was. It was the charisma. It was the attitude. We could have a joke about stuff, but at the same time, he knew where he was coming from. So, when you're out there today, just be aware of the entities in the conversations, and, have that sensitivity, up to make sure that you're not exploited, including your energy. Giving that energy out to somebody else when you could be using it for, your own stuff. But at the same time, the way I look at it is, they need that little extra energy. I know I'm going to get more, and I can give some out. The feeling of being exploited leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It really does. The feeling of being used, abused, verbalized. It's not good. It makes, it tries to weaken your spirit. It tries to bring you down in life. It tries to draw that energy out of you. But we can turn that all around by recognizing it and becoming aware of the people that are doing this, doing that to us, of the conversations we're having, being led down those conversations to make it seem like you've got the power, when really they're holding the power and manipulating it. Being manipulated, being used, being taken advantage of. Be more aware of those situations. And when those situations start to happen, just put your hand up. Stop. No thanks. Not going down that road with you. Hey, do you got a quarter? No, not today. Hey, do you think, you could sit down here and go over this, this book with me? No, not today. Sorry, I'm heading out. So many people sitting on the corners of the road, asking for help because they're, this, that, and the other thing. You know what? If you really needed help, you go to the McDonald's. You go there. There'd be tons of people sitting there. The only problem is you can't solicit. But guess what? You can pick up an application. You can get your own job sitting there. Right? That's how you use your resources. Give them something other than your money, the time, and the energy. Give them some sort of passion. Right? Of, hey, why don't you work on this project? Why don't you help somebody else out? Once you start helping somebody else out, then you'll get the help you need. So that's my diorama, today. Thinking about the Six of Storms and exploitation. And just to, help clarify this, should have done this, minutes ago. I'm just going to pull one card out of the Tarot Grand Lux deck. All right. And we'll talk about that as well. All right, let's see what they have for us. And it comes up that Page of Coins. Of course, coins being stability, being the stones. And that's, to me, that's confirmation, of the message. Because pages are messengers. This is, a message around, stability, security, and materialism. Six of Stones is using your resources wisely, no matter, how you use them. And that page just came out and says, you know what? This is where you need to go with it. Okay? What can you learn from this situation? All right? What data do you need to make a good decision? Well, the data is how I'm going to feel about it. Okay? I'm going to look at that message that they're giving me, and I'm going to understand, I'm being exploited. This could be an opportunity of being manipulated. This could be an opportunity of being used. Being maneuvered in a way I don't want to be maneuvered. Being coerced. Being taken advantage of stuff that I want to be taken advantage of. I try very hard not to take advantage of other people, and I probably wouldn't know the first step in doing it. But I do know this. I recognize and I'm aware of when other people take advantage of me. And it hurts. Because you'll never get that back. Don't wish them ill intentions. Only wish them for success, because karma comes around. And when that karma comes around, don't come knocking on my door. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, the Six of Stones and Exploitation, clarified with the Page of Stones, Page of Coins here in this deck. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share with others, and give me a thumbs up. This is D for A Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, everybody.